Hi, welcome to You, Me and Mediumship. Tonight, I'm going to have a little natter about energy, try and explain without going too deep, try and keep it quite simplified, really, for us to try and grasp exactly what we are trying to do as mediums, who we're trying to connect with, and what we're trying to connect with. That seems a little bit harsh when I say what. It kind of makes it sound a bit like an object, which obviously it isn't. It's a life force. It's a pure and loving and warm energy that we're trying to merge with us to get our information from. So to do that, we need to understand really about who we are, what we're made of, how we function. I'll talk about self, getting to know that side of self, and try and understand what it is we are trying to communicate with. So I'm going to start really right at the beginning, I guess, by looking at ourselves. Now, obviously, we are material. Okay, that's pretty obvious. We're fairly solid lumps, if you like. Especially me, it's middle-aged spread and all that. But we are material. So when we are born, obviously, if we didn't eat, we wouldn't grow. We wouldn't, our brains wouldn't function. We would simply pass away. So obviously, the matter that we are made of is all from soil, if you like. We eat all the like vegetables. Obviously, we eat meat, which is unfortunate. But if we didn't do that, then obviously we wouldn't grow into adults. We just wouldn't develop at all. And like I said, we would simply pass away. So we are really made up of what we eat, and there's a lot to be said really for you are what you eat, because that's very true. Because without the food, like I said, we wouldn't develop and we wouldn't become these figures, if you like, of a human being. It just wouldn't happen, would it? So we are made up of matter that comprises basically of what we consume throughout our lives. But I mean, what's fascinating about that, obviously, is things like the DNA, because we look like our ancestors in some respect, and sometimes we even have the mannerisms of some of our ancestors. So there is a life force within this form. Okay, it's not just the matter. So when we look at things like say vegetables, for argument's sake, fruit, things that we consume, obviously if we were simply that, then we would probably think like an apple or think like a banana or whatever, which, not that I've got any idea how they think, but at the end of the day, there is something else within us. There is a force within us that, if you like, motivates the body. Okay, it causes the body to function. So it's kind of a toy robot, if you like. If that life force, if that energy is not placed within it, for argument's sake, like a battery, okay, it's lifeless. So it has to have energy within it to make things work. Obviously, we have a thought with our emotions, and we have all sorts of different ideas and opinions and perceptions of things. So we are individuals. So we are kind of an individual life force. Otherwise, we'd all think the same, we'd all act the same. So, which would be very boring, I'm sure. But we are individuals. So there is an individuality to that life force. So when we pass, obviously, we're either buried or we're cremated or whatever. So we go back to where we came from. You've heard me speak of this before. So we all come from, if you like, from the earth itself. We eat from that earth. We are supplied with our nourishment from the earth. And like I keep mentioning, things like the fruit and the vegetables, things like that, things we eat, we are made up of what has grown from that soil. Okay, without that, then obviously there would be no humankind. So, yeah, we are composed of Mother Earth. And when we pass, we simply go back to her. So the body is, in a sense, it's a complete circle of life, isn't it? So we go back to the soil from where we came, and then obviously we make up parts, as so does the trees and plants also make up parts of the soil, but so do we. So if you think how long this earth has been here and how long we've existed for, you know, it's amazing how that circle of life continues. So without Mother Earth, without nature, we wouldn't exist. Okay, because in a sense, she produces the vessels in which our life force exists in. So now we're talking about life force. Obviously, as far as I'm aware, none of us have batteries. So there is an energy there, okay, that motivates the body itself. It is that energy that we as mediums communicate with. So when the body breaks down, like most things of matter that are made up of matter, eventually wear down, start to fail, and in the end they get scrapped, a bit like we do. So the body eventually packs up. The life force within it, a bit like the batteries in a robot, if you like, they may well keep functioning for a while, even though the toilet they were once installed in has now gone. If you imagine, the energy within that battery is still there. Obviously, over a period of time, because we're talking obviously a physical object here, an object of matter. So over time, that battery itself, because it's made of that matter, will also fail. Life force itself never fails, it continues. It has consciousness, it is aware, and it can, at any point within its journey, again, enter another vessel and, if you like, motivate that. That life force has the capability of entering any vessel in a sense that it likes, and because it's conscious, it's aware that the vessel that it enters needs to journey along a path that will give it experience that it needs. Because that life force is conscious, okay, it knows what vessel it needs in order to fulfill its hunger, if you like, for progression, so it can progress. I hope that's not too complicated, but hopefully not. So we are all what we eat, aren't we, really, when we think about it? We have to be. We are made up of that. We are made up of the cells of the things that, you know, we virtually eat. The food obviously gives us energy. The food itself provides us with the vitamins and things we need in order to grow. So all the cells that you are looking at now, like in my face and things, or they're starting to get a bit wrinkly, okay, are all made up of probably the process of what I've consumed over my lifetime. And we know that because if we eat the wrong things, we grow a certain way. You know, if we have a life of eating burgers and chips, then obviously the shape of our life form, if you like, our vessel, is not so good. So we are made up of what we eat. So pushing that aside now, we're going to talk about the life force that exists within these vessels that I'm talking of. So that energy, that battery, if you like, the energy that is flowing through us, flows through every living thing, because everything that is conscious, and that's another video, because obviously we only virtually see ourselves as conscious, and maybe the animal kingdom itself as conscious. Okay, there's more to that than meets the eye. There are levels of consciousness within all living things. We are obviously quite high up in that ladder, though sometimes makes you wonder when you read the news. But we are conscious, and so is every living thing to, like I said, differing degrees. We are lucky in that sense as spirit beings that when we pass, we leave the vessels behind. When we pass, like I just said, we are still conscious to a degree. We are still aware. We understand our needs. We will enter another vessel into which we need to fulfill those needs. If we're lucky enough to have fulfilled most of our needs as a spiritual being, if you like, as an entity, there may not be any need to return to vessels like this that you see on your camera now. It may be that energy, that entity, that warmth, that love, okay, can exist without having to re-enter another vessel in order to fulfill its needs. Doesn't mean that energy has no more needs left to fulfill. It basically means that anything that it does need can be gained from the realm in which it exists. Okay? As we travel through the different realms, and as we journey on that path, okay, our needs will become a lot different to our needs, well, what our needs are now. So, and a lot less horrific as well, some of them. So those needs will center themselves basically around love, around warmth, and understanding of where we are going. That is what our needs will be once we leave this vessel. Problem is, being human beings and being on one of the lower levels of the realms, if you like, our needs get blinkered, very blinkered, because I guess over time, and as the world's, I say progressed, I can't say it has, but our needs are obviously blinkered into material things that, in other words, we don't really need, do we? So the spiritual need gets blinkered by material need. And when that happens, that is when a lot of confusion begins. We get a lot of illness, we get a lot of anxiety, and a lot of pain in the physical form, because without the balances that we talk of, the mind, body and spirit, without those being in harmony, which is hindered by our material greed, if you like, without those being in harmony, then the whole form, if you like, of mind, body and spirit can no longer be happy and can no longer progress. It will progress, I guess, eventually, but it's a very, very difficult path that is hindered by our human thought, if you like. So we cannot comprehend, whilst in the body, what those needs are as a spiritual being. Okay, we are not aware of them. We just moan about them every day because we're probably going through some tough times. Sometimes we go through some very sad times, some very painful times, hurtful times. Most of us do. It's part of life. But those moments are truly lessons. And if we can work on thinking that way, yes, it's tough, yes, it's difficult, but I will learn from this. If we can turn our minds into thinking that way, then it would make our journey a lot easier. It'd still be difficult, there's still going to be mountains to climb, but by trying to get an understanding of maybe I needed to go through this, maybe the reason I went through this is so that I can understand this better. And I'm a real believer in when we go through these problems, when we climb these mountains, we are, in a sense, becoming true teachers to the world. Because if we can overcome a problem, if we meet somebody who's just about to face a similar problem, like what we've just gone through, then who would be best to help them? It would be the person who has experienced it. So if you think about our guides who work with us as mediums, they come along when we're doing our readings, they help us, they guide us, they bring in communication from the other side for us. If you think of that energy, the experience that guide, that energy has had throughout its existence, okay, who better to be the teacher of us than that energy itself? It knows how we feel. It understands how we feel. Okay, so when next time you go through a massive problem in your life and you come out the other side, remember this: you're one step closer to being that perfect teacher for another soul, because you've experienced it and you know how to help them. So the energies that we are trying to communicate with are conscious energies that are just across that veil, very close to us indeed. Okay, they are conscious energies that we are trying to communicate with. They are not human beings. They have had human experience. Okay, they will not come to you, okay, in their Sunday best, okay, and act like a human would. Okay, they will put to you so that you understand it. They would put the story across to you in a human way. If they put it across in a pure spirit sense, we would not probably understand it at all. It's like going to a meeting and sitting in a meeting with a ball of light. Okay, if you're not attuned to that ball of light properly, you will have no idea of who that energy is or was. You would not have any idea at all. If you imagine spirit as that ball of energy, okay, and you sat in a meeting talking to it, you wouldn't have no idea who that was because you are not at that level of understanding to be able to communicate with that energy. I hope I'm not getting too deep here. So the only way we know who we're communicating with is by that energy itself placing within our energy field a description, an image, as a personality sense, okay, maybe a thought that we pick up as that vibration of sound. The only way we know who we've got there is by what they are feeding into our energy field, if you like. They are not a physical thing stood there at all. Okay, they give us the information, they give us the image. And the image itself, depending on the energy that we're working with, the energy itself can put an image in so strongly to us that it can virtually be a solid image in our minds. So we kind of see it as a solid image of who they were, who they look like, who this loved one is. It can be that powerful and that clear that we see that as a solid image, object, if you like. If I said to you, imagine a tree, right? Close your eyes and imagine a tree. Depending on how powerful your imagination is, you could virtually put a very realistic tree into your mind. You could see it there in front of your closed eyes. You could see that tree. The simple thing is, I'll say it's simple, obviously it's not, because we all have to work at this, but spirit are literally putting that tree, if you like, there for you to see. So if they want to describe a tree to you, they will put that image of a tree there. There isn't a tree there, is there, at all? We know that. So we understand we are, in a way, we are dealing with energy, pure energy, not a human being, but we are dealing with like a dreamlike state where spirit put the dream into our minds. So we can see it, so we understand it, we can hear it, we can sense it, we can sense that personality. So as mediums, we are working with pure balls of energy, if you like, white light, beautiful white light. And that's why we sit in that light. When we sit in the power, we expand our own light from inside. And the emergence of those two energies, those two balls of light, if you like, the emergence of those two makes it a lot easier for us to communicate with each other. They can place those images there a lot simpler, easier. The more we're reaching out, the more we are blending with them. The images, the descriptions of what they want to put there can become a lot clearer once we practice that merging with energy, that sitting in the power. That's how mediumship works. Okay, they don't come wandering in, and stand next to you on that platform. Okay, you will sense they are, and there'll be an image within your mind, if you like, of them standing there, because that's what they're giving you. Hi, this is me. Okay, my wife is there, sat in the audience. I pass from a car accident or whatever. They will keep feeding those images into you. So when we pass, okay, when we communicate with each other within that realm of the spirit, okay, because our comprehension is a lot more wider than what it was in the human form, and because we communicate differently in spirit, we will not need necessarily at some point within the journey of the realms, we will not need to see the physical shape of who we are communicating with. We will simply know. We will sense each other. We will feel the love for each other. We will know whilst we're near that energy who it is, and it will be absolutely amazing to meet up with a loved one within spirit world and know who they are simply by being present within their energy. That's how it will work. So try and think outside the human mind whilst you're sitting in the power. Just think energy, okay? Don't start looking for Auntie Jane or something in a green cardie, right? Just push your energy out, sit in that power, push that light energy out, okay? From self, from deep within self, push it out there and get that emergence of energy going with that of spirit. And then that communication will start to grow. I hope that helps. I've got to go. I've gone on a bit longer than what I expected to. But I hope in some way that helps. And I hope I didn't make it too complicated. But any questions you can always ask anyway. So please like and subscribe. Those that already have subscribed, thank you so much. Also, pop over to Patreon. I'll say it at the end of every video now, because it's my aim to get a group of like-minded people together and really work hard at this, because I think the world needs it, to be honest. I think it's about time now that we put more purpose into people's lives. And as mediums, not only do we give closure, and those little messages that say, yes, Mum, I'm fine, and what have you. Now, the reasoning behind this, as well as, and we mustn't forget that, is to light that spark of energy and soul within every human being we come across. And if we can prove that that energy of Mum, Dad, etc. exists within another realm, and we prove that, we give the evidence of it, it will start the old mind ticking, and people will start thinking, hang on a minute, there is more to this. It's not all going to work, going to bed and working our fingers to the bone. I do have purpose, and that's what it's all about, I think, as well. So take care, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Bye for now.